another excursion through the stream of consciousness, down the river of tranquility, to fill the lake of life with love.
And good evening, our fellow lovers out there, and thank you for joining us again. And this thing always ends up getting a little bit towards me, and you're the one who talks softer, so you usually get a little bit. I don't know how it always does that. It always ends up farther away from you, and I keep trying to maneuver it during the show to get it closer to you.
Yes, I'm a soft speaker.
So, well, the problem is actually not that you're a soft speaker. The problem is that I get loud, and it screws with it. Anyway, that's the editor's problem, or a listener's problem. But it picks up you just fine, but the problem is it sometimes over picks me up, and so to balance it. Anyway, long, complicated questions that they are really not interested in. But thank you guys for joining us. Me and Lubby are here. It's been a busy day, and so I've been kind of dealing with my, or so we say, community organizing. We'll keep it simple all day. And so the question was, all right, so what was today's show going to be about? And we hadn't really had a chance to sit down and think about it. And I said, well, we haven't actually sat down and have a discussion about why Late Night Love was started, what we're doing, what we try to do, and, where we're kind of going in the future. And this seems like a good time to do it because, with our current the current status, we're kind of merging with, another groups. We're trying to create something bigger than ourselves at the moment. And so it's a good time to kind of review, not just for us, but for our listeners and for our new business partners, right? It's a good time for all of us. Not that they don't know, because we've been, discussing. It's why we get together, is because we share the same human values, despite the fact that we have different ways, different approaches. If they're in politics, we're in this life-love relationship business, and it's a similar but different thing. And so, I guess, why did we start Late Night Love, right? It was a journey that actually has probably been a long time coming if you really wanted to dig down into the roots of it and how it
probably, yes,
and how it actually started. But the shortish version is that I was running for a public office, and that is such a, I don't want to say negative experience, because it's not really a negative experience. It was actually a quite positive experience. But there's so much negativity surrounding that experience, shall we say, that I wanted to make sure I kept a foot in the grounded in something, that was more fundamental. Something that essentially reminded me why I was doing that, why I was going through that. And something that kept me out of jumping into politics with both feet. Because for anybody who's been in politics or media or the news, you can watch it. You can see them kind of lose themselves, lose their humanity. You just turn on the cable news channels and then watch those hosts and go back and watch them earlier in their career and then watch them now. They're not even the same human beings. They're drastic. They've lost themselves. And it happens to YouTubers and podcasters who work in the same space. They become something different, chasing, I don't want to say chasing likes or chasing money or chasing viewers. It's you have to do certain things, right, in order to please the algorithms, in order to please advertisers, and in order to do all the stuff that we don't do very well. So our hope is to find a different way, to find a way to accomplish those types of goals without losing yourself. How do I play politics without losing myself? And for me, this was part of that solution. But it was only part of it. We wouldn't have thought of that solution if it hadn't been for our histories, our individual histories, and my lifelong battle's the wrong word. My lifelong learning to cope with anxiety disorder, figuring out what that is, and the lifelong journey with anxiety disorder. And you've had
my bipolar journey. I was misdiagnosed for like 20 years with depression.
And so, they've got that journey, and then our life's journey, just the failed successful and failed marriages and raising kids and all that various life experiences that we've had.
Counseling, umpty years of counseling.
Yeah, and so we have experience that we can relate. We can, hopefully, as we can bridge that gap. It's not like we're the experts.
No, we are not professional. Anything.
We're not the experts, but what we can do is we can make what the experts say, and we can kind of relate that back in a real world. We can relate better to the real human beings of the world because we are one. We are them. We are you. We're just normal human beings who have failed in life far more often than we've succeeded. By the grace of God and family and love, or what if you believe in God? I say God in a generic term. I can't throw it on my face because I don't actually believe in God as we think of it, generically speaking, but it's a useful term to think of the fates of the universe, or dumb luck, whatever you want to call it, bad luck, just random happenstance. God is a nice way to wrap all that up. It's a nice, succinct word. Who knows how it works in mysterious ways. Who knows? Maybe it's not working at all. Maybe it's just is. But, so you wrap all that up. But I have great respect for religion and spirituality. So, as you can clearly see, because I'm not afraid to say,
Not afraid to talk about it. Not afraid to say God. That's good.
No, because it has a meaning.
It does.
And that meaning is actually different for everybody. And didn't mean to dissolve into a religious discussion or a spiritual discussion, but I guess it kind of touches it. You can't help it. Whether you believe in God or spirituality or nothing at all, or you're a hardcore science person, and all of that is just poppycock. The concept of putting your faith in stuff that you can't control and just kind of plowing through life, if it's God, if it's science, if it's spirituality, whatever helps is my thing. And I'm not going to judge. There's billions of people across, I don't know, maybe even 1 trillion people across the course of time who have found comfort and guidance through religion and spirituality. How am I to say they were all wrong? Were they technically correct? Maybe, maybe not. But is that even the point? At that stage, is it technically correct being the point? The point is to get you through life as a better human being. And if that's what it does. And yes, I know a lot of people will point out that, religion has caused a lot of wars. This is true. But if you actually dig a little deeper, most wars of religion aren't actually of religion. They're of power, just like every other war. Power and resources. Religion's the excuse to get the masses to fight. So they're not actually over religion. So, anyway, that little tangent aside, we're here because we have this vast treasure trove of experience, and I get these goofy things to think about, and I like to talk, and I like to relate to people, and so I've had a little bit of media training, and it's good practice, even if you can talk about.
I like spreading love and information and opening up conversations, talking about things that people don't usually talk about. We should talk about these things, make them normal.
Well, I don't know if it's starting to make them normal, but make it okay to talk about.
Yeah.
Normal is not even relevant. If we can talk about things, if me and you can come up here and we can have discussions, rational discussions about things, or if we can show people ways to have, as my therapist says, we sometimes come on here and we end up having a therapy session. Every now and again, our podcast turns into a therapy session, and so it's okay because we can actually show people how that works. We can actually show people how conversations work. We don't always agree. We don't have to agree.
No, we've had some. You've annoyed me sometimes on the air.
Well, yes, but I can annoy everybody on the air sometimes.
But sometimes.
But we don't have to, because the world's not always going
Well,
to
I
agree.
think that's what makes our conversations interesting, because we have vastly different viewpoints on different things like child rearing.
Yeah. And we actually do say, we were just talking about it yesterday, it's a good thing we didn't have to raise kids together.
They would have been so beautiful.
Well, maybe, but we would have been arguing all the time.
All the time.
Because we do. I'm vastly different. And it's not like one way is right or wrong. It's just...
No, it's not.
It's just ways we're comfortable with. That's really all it is. But we can actually accept that, right? We can accept that there's no way, that there's, your way or my way of raising kids isn't right or wrong, but the friction of us trying to decide how to do it. Now, us now would have probably figured out how to do it.
Us now, yeah.
Yeah. Us back in child rearing age, I'm not entirely sure.
No.
Because we're vastly different people now than we were 20 years ago, right? 25 years ago, whatever it is. However far back.
Well, I'm old enough now to accept that my way is not the only way. That's the vast difference.
Yeah, well, and I'm experienced enough now to know that, some of my things are actually based upon my own perspective of my own, I don't want to say upbringing, but my own dealing with anxiety has led me to kind of view the world a certain way. And because I view the world that way, my perceptions on child rearing might be overly skewed towards dealing with anxiety disorder. I might be overly conscious about it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually understand that. I might look for it more often. And I try to compensate for it, but how do you really know? You try not to let it over, but how do you really know if you do or not? You try not to let your own anxieties, your own paths through life overly dictate how you raise your children. And you can consciously think about it, and you can consciously, but how do you actually know how successful you really are? You just do the best you can and hope your kids turn out to be good human beings.
They're all wonderful people.
They're all good human beings. And so if you can raise good human beings, then I think that you've personally succeeded.
That's a success.
Yeah. But
no ex-murderers in the bunch.
Not yet.
Well, there's still time.
Yeah. My youngest daughter, you never know. Yeah, you just never know. Nah, she's a good one. I'm just saying. She hates her generation, quite literally. So, you never know. Back in the deep recesses. But still, it's funny to think about. If there was one, that would be the one. Not that I'm saying that it would be. I'm just saying if there was.
I got one. Hates everybody. Told me I'm too happy one time.
Yeah. But she's not motivated enough to.
No, she's too lazy.
You actually have to have some kind of motivation to do that. Nah. Now, I personally, I think we're just sitting here goofing off because it's not really a realm of possibility. But, if you can't think about these things, if you can't actually honestly sit down and go, all right, not that any of them have an actual real chance, but if one of them were, which one would it be? Which one would actually snap? And then actually have the mental capacity to carry it out. Yeah. Not that it's going to happen, not that it would, but, if you had to line them up and say, someone forced you to choose. All right, line them up from the least likely to the most likely. Have to choose an order. No choice. I could come up with an order. Anyway, this is the kind of stuff that goes on in our heads but it's kind of completely useless drivel. But if you want to participate, you can send us an email. And why is my mouse jumping on? My batteries must be on. You can send us an email at love@latenightLove.us. You can go to Late Night Love US and find us all on your favorite social media and podcast platform. And so, because that's kind of why we started.
Yeah, that's why we started. And it's been quite a journey for me. I hardly spoke at all in the beginning. I was never on camera.
No, you didn't want to come on camera. I remember we used to do those daily
I'm
doses.
still not a fan, but people like to see me. Hello.
They like to see who's talking, which is strange because, you know, half of our listeners are on the podcast. They actually don't watch, depending upon this particular episode. But a chunk of so it's not like, you know, but it is a better show. It's a better quality show, and people can generally see. And since we don't have a studio director to cut cameras back and forth where we can, you know, have you somewhere else and cut cameras back and forth, this is a good option. But also, I think, you know, sitting around the table, I like that we finally got to sit around the table. That's nice.
Yes.
So that's cool. We've kind of been slowly upgrading. But so that's why we're here. That's why we got. That's why we started. But I don't want to say it's necessarily morphed over the years. I mean, it's clear.
It's grown. It's grown.
It's clearly evolved. But
Evolved. There's a good word.
But why we're here, it's a different thing, because we actually cover far more mental health than I thought we would. It's not that I didn't think we'd cover mental health, but it has far more reach. Our mental health discussions have far more reach than I figured they would. And so it's one of those things that maybe I actually underestimated the role we could play in reaching people. You know, those people who might be thinking of going to counseling. Should I go to counseling? And you know, with people like us saying, well, we can talk about things, but ultimately you're going to have to talk about this with somebody yourself, because arguing with yourself in your own head isn't good enough. You need someone to bounce it off of, and it's not always fair to bounce it off your partner. You know, these unfinished thoughts, especially if your relationship is in stress. And so you find someone whose literal job it is to sit there and be your sounding board and to tell you when you're right, to tell you when you're off base, to tell you when, okay, yeah, I get that, but maybe you can look at it from this other perspective, and maybe there's a difference. And, you know, so if us, just two kind of normal people, can sit here, have the wide-ranging discussions on the wide-ranging issues we have here, maybe it makes it a little easier for someone to, you know, engage with their partner, tell the partner that, you know, I'm having a tough time today. Maybe it's someone who's having a difficult time today. It's just, you know, I need someone to help me. Go find a therapist. You know, we've always talked about reach out to somebody. And if you're that somebody, if you can't actually help them directly, but what you can do is you can help them get help. You know, anybody can help someone get help. And so, you know, we can remind people of that. Because how many people don't really think of it that way? A friend of yours is having a, you know, emotional time, an emotional trouble, and they kind of reach out to you, but you don't know what to do. You're not qualified. You have no clue. You're completely lost. But what you can do is you can help them get help. You know, mental health isn't actually necessarily expensive, but sometimes people need, you know, a shoulder to lean on, a support system. And you can say, yeah, I'll help you, and let's find it out. You know, you can do a little research for them. Say, here's 3 or 4. You know, here's a couple. Give it a try. Here's an app.
Here's some hotlines.
Here's an app. Here's a hotline. My sister's boyfriend uses this app. So, you know, whatever. You may actually be able to help more, because the reality is the fact that you're willing to listen and you're willing to support them is really more what they need than the specific help, because the specific help really comes from them ultimately. And so what they need is someone to help them access that. And it's that has kind of, I don't want to say changed how I view it, but in a sense, we started this in a sense for a very selfish reason. We did. It was to keep me sane. If you want to get it short, that's why we started it. It was selfish, but it was never stayed selfish. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The purpose wasn't selfish. The purpose was, it wasn't just to keep me sane. It was to keep me sane by spreading love. And how do we spread love? Why is it late night love? Because it's easier to talk about love things in the late night, right? No one likes to sit there and talk about their heavy relationship issues at 9 a.m. I don't even like going to my therapist just at the end of the day, as late as I could possibly get it. I mean, I think she does some evening ones, but for realistically, I got it as late as you can realistically, like 4 o'clock. That's 3 and 4 o'clock. It's right in the late afternoon, as close to the late night, because the farther off in your day you get, the more prepared you are to deal with these emotional issues. You just, no one wants to do it at 9, unless I suppose you're a morning person. So maybe it's me. Maybe I don't want to do these things in the morning. But so maybe night owls are the people I kind of relate to, the people who are up at night, who work late at night. And those are kind of the people that I relate to. And so that's why we call it late night love. It's more a feeling than a time of day, I suppose, is part of the reason. It's not really about the time. It's about that feeling late at night when you're sitting around, you're talking with your partner and your loved ones, and you slip into those deep philosophical, emotional discussions. That's what we do here. We kind of slip into these goofy, strange, who knows where they're going, philosophical discussions based upon life, love, and relationships. Right? Mental health is part of your life. It's part of your love. You can't get through life if you don't deal with your emotional and mental stability and your health. Just like you can't get through life if you don't deal with your physical health. And it'll eventually catch up with you. We all know it. And so, so that's why we're here now. In short, it's to spread love, but it's to spread not just love, it's to spread how to love, and to do it with humor and good nature and seriousness all at the same time is a trick that I think we are uniquely placed to solve. Or to solve is good enough of a word.
We try.
Even though we don't solve many problems here, but it's not the point, because we actually try to figure out, no, you've got to solve your own problems. We don't have answers. You'd have your own answers. It's okay. You just have to start the journey to find them. There's very rarely a silver bullet in life, right?
Very rarely.
And so, maybe you shouldn't spend your time looking for the silver bullet. You spend your time, looking for everything else. And maybe you come across a silver bullet amongst your journey. What is it? Luck is preparation mated with opportunity. So if you're looking for a silver bullet, but you're not doing the other things, even if you find it, are you going to know what to do with it? That's kind of the story of my life. We talk about how many times we failed in life. That's kind of the story of my life. I'm, haven't, up until now, I haven't been prepared to take advantage of the opportunities presented. But, I'm more prepared for that now. That's why we're going on this new journey. That's why we've merged late night love with, I'm going to go ahead and say it, the Knuckleheads of Liberty. And we're creating a whole new production company from these two two brands. And it started as a public access thing. This whole thing actually started for essentially learning how to do this stuff from public access, engaging with your community at the grassroots level. It doesn't have to be politics. There's lots of people who do it without politics, cooking. It's not the point. It's, so if you've got a public access system in your community, they do good work. The Holy Stars does here in Sacramento. So Sacramento Public Access does good work. We're going to give them a shout out. But, we just came from a meeting of my community organization. We just finished writing bylaws. Bylaws haven't been changed in 10 years. And previous, boards, which I've been a member of, haven't been able to get them changed. But yet we finally did. We persevered, got it through.
Success.
Wasn't necessarily easy. Some of it kind of got pushed to the last minute, but we did enough of the groundwork that when we all came together, had that opportunity to sit down and get a meeting done, we finished our whole meeting in less than an hour, just under an hour. And we just did more than just changing bylaws. And for anybody who's part of a community organization knows how difficult changing bylaws and getting all this stuff done can be, we were able to accomplish things. And so I'm now personally more in a position through doing this, through working through politics, through, the schooling I went through 10 years ago. Taking care of all of this is now I'm actually in position to start taking advantage of things if they should fall my way. But at the same time, I can make my own. We now have the skills, knowledge, and connections and partners, team, to actually accomplish good things. To grow Late Night Love from a pokey little podcast where you and me are just kind of talking love and life and relationships and mental health awareness and how to access mental health into something that's, reaches more. We do reach people. Occasionally we get people will reach out to us and talk to us. But, at some point, our message of love needs to be heard. And if you don't believe me, look outside your window. Our communities are fracturing. Our families are under stress. The economy's not great. You tell me we don't need love more than ever? So when we think about what me and Lubby offer, we offer a shining light of love. We hope to sit here and spread our love for each other, our love for humanity, our love for our community, and we want to spread that. We want to show you that there are genuine people who genuinely care about people who they don't even know. And that's kind of why we're here. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, and that's why we're going forward. That's why we're persevering despite all of our troubles of the last year. We could have given up any point of the last year and no one would have said a thing. No one would have complained.
I would have. I love coming on here.
Well, that's the difference right there. Talk about evolving. Now, people would like to hear you more, by the way. They think I sit here and monopolize the time. I don't monopolize the time. Someone doesn't take the opportunity to speak. And the one thing you all like worse than Lubby not talking is completely dead air. So
I'm trying.
No, it's learning process. You didn't get the media training the same way I did. You got it completely under fire right here on a podcast, and you waded in. It's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
I was terrified.
Life ain't a race, right? It's one of the things we try to get across. Life isn't a race. This isn't a race either. It's it's our genuineness, our humanity that is actually what we have to offer. It's what people will ultimately engage with, and and we will see what the future comes.
Yes.
Okay, for me and Lubby, we want to thank you guys for joining us. Again, if you have any questions or comments, you can. One of these days, I'll learn how to use this new software. Wow, my mouse is being really weird. Sorry. Oh, there it is. And you can join us at latenightLove.us. You can send me and Jesus, that is a terrible thing. One of these days, I can see it now, but I can't use it properly. What was I doing? That's right. We're doing the exit. We're out of here. Thank you for joining us. Me and Lubby will see you Thursday night because we're not recording the show tonight. So we'll see you live Thursday night. And please remember to love everybody.
Good night.